Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jeff Dunphy from retoolingtheworld.com. We are delighted to be streaming live today. This will be the 27th or 28th of August, 2023. And we want to introduce you to the upcoming semester of Joy School and Joy class. This is a Joy open house. This is a very auspicious time, and we would like to invite you to partake in kind of a modern day mystery school. And this is epic in its proportion, and it's also profoundly timely in its embrace, because we think that the time is coming right now globally to step into and step into your own power. We call this awakening your genius. And we think and we know and we propagate and have for decades, 3 decades, almost 4 decades now, this knowingness that we each have within us a genius that merely needs to be recognized and honed so that we can step into the next chapter of our life, so that we can emancipate mankind. And what I would like to do is introduce you to, as I said, a modern day mystery school. So if you will indulge me for a moment, we will partake in a little journey, and I can tell you what we're up to, what our intentions are, and how your participation in this journey might be contributive to the emancipation of mankind. Okay. Retooling for our coming of age. Many of you who are watching this evening, and will continue to watch it over time, have had this kind of gnawing feeling in the back of your mind that you don't fit in. You're in your family and they're all lovely and you love them all, but you're just kind of the odd duck out. You're in your school and you participate in the school, but you're just the odd duck out. And I want you to remember that not only is that a clear and astute observation, but it's also a call to remember who you really are. And we oftentimes, once we fall into this embrace of our incarnation, we also kind of forget who we are. And it takes us a while, some of us less and some of us more, some of us longer, to figure out who we are and what we came here to do. Now we have an adage in the Lamasery and in the Joy School, and it's called, there are things to be done by you, done better by you than anybody else in the world. And it's very important for you to remember those things. And when you do, you are a power force. And when you do, you are aligned with the genius that is resident in each and every one of you. Okay, let's move into the I slept and dreamt that life was joy, please and thank you. 2 more in, there we go. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. When we start to get that we are a part of a great universal team and global team, we're a part of this team that is here to contribute to the emancipation of mankind, we start to feel the age-old calling, the clarion call, some would say. This is what you're here to do. You chose to be here at this time. Now, right now, all kinds of things are happening. All kinds of profound changes, shifts, shit shows, if you will, are going on the planet. And I want you to remember that we are in a time of transition. And in this time of transition, as curious and as discombobulating as it is, it's a call to task. It's a call to rise up. It's a call to claim your sovereignty, but it's also a call to unite with like-minded individuals so that we can bring forward a light that we've been carrying our whole lives and unify that light so we can turn on the lights in this time of revelation. So next slide. So we have this phrase, and this comes to us from Helen Keller, and it's happiness is not attained through self-gratification, but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. And I think one of the things that we've been kind of bamboozled into believing is that the more you self-gratify, the happier you will become. But you know what? After the third or fourth or fifth scoop of ice cream, after the fifth or eighth hamburger, after the eighth or 10th glass of wine, after the fifth or sixth or eighth doobie, we don't get a high at all. What we do is we just get overwhelmed with the physical. And that's not who we are. We reside in a physical body in order to facilitate our genius or our soul presenting itself through this vessel. And part of our calling is acclimatizing the vessel that we reside in alignment to our genius or our soul. Now, next slide. We now have this we now have this question that I would like to posit to all of you, and it's this. What if you had an owner's manual? What if? Now, suffice it to say, and mea culpa, I am one of the most guilty. I haven't historically listened to or observed owner's manuals at all. And so consequently, I get hopelessly lost when the car breaks down. I get hopelessly lost when various things break down, when the computer. But now what is coming to light in this time of revelation, in the time when the lights get turned on, what if you had an owner's manual? And if you did, what would the owner's manual guide you to do? Think on that. It would guide you to wake up to the brilliance of who you are. Now, the challenge with an enormous amount of the light bearers on the planet is that they felt disconnected, discombobulated, disjointed with the world, and it's for very good reason, and that is the world that we are residing in right now is very confusing. It's very dark, it's very conflicted, it's full of discord. But what if you're here to change that? And what if you can learn who you are and what you're meant to do here? There are things to be done by you, done better by you than anybody else in the world. What if we can show you a way by which you can create your own owner's manual? And you do have an owner's manual. I absolutely guarantee that you have an owner's manual. Next slide. Now, we have today in this world going on a war of stories. Now, many of you are starting to doubt seriously or completely reject the stories of the mainstream media, the legacy media, which is dying in front of our very eyes. And that is, be terrified so that the state, the government, the medical community can take care of you. And boy, that didn't work very well the last time, did it? And it won't work well this time. Now, part of the agenda of that we call these individuals dark forces because they just aren't aligned with their soul. They're aligned with self-aggrandizement and self-empowerment, little self-empowerment and money. What if the story that they're trying to propagate on us is be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, and we will take care of you, we will tell you what to do? That story is falling apart. Now, on the other side, the other story is be conscientious and be afraid because we're trying to terrify you into saving yourself. Now, we don't want to terrify you into saving yourself. We want to turn the lights on so brightly that saving yourself is the only option you have at this time. And you save yourself by empowering yourself, by awakening the genius within. And by doing that, you change the earth, you change the planet, you change mankind, you emancipate mankind, and you get to be a part of this. Now, this isn't for the faint of heart. This isn't for the faint of heart. You do know that in this transition period, there's a whole bunch of moving parts, and there's a whole bunch of resistance, there's a whole bunch of upset, there's a whole bunch of cognitive dissonance going on. But you are here to be the bright shining light to guide people through this nonsense, this contrivance, this goop. There's a great word for you, isn't it? And as we do that, we start to wake up to our purpose, living purposeful lives, living a life that will be contributory to mankind. Next slide. Now, as you see, we are lost in the mechanization of thought. We are lost in overthinking, over-worrying, or over-fretting, and we are controlled by a belief system. We're controlled by the little man in the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. We've got a lot of stuff going on in our heads. And there's something that we want to bring to light at this time. Next slide. And what they're doing right now is they're saying, we will tell you what to do because we will terrify you into thinking that you have no choice. Put a mask on. Take experimental medical interventions. Separate yourself, segregate yourself. Lose yourself from humanity. That's sort of like the light that is meant to be, where let us toss water on it, and you willingly saying, sure, extinguish my light, extinguish the beacon of my soul so that I can hide. No, we're not here to hide. We're not here to hide at all. We are here to emancipate mankind. Next slide. We have been, over time, from a very early age, we have been indoctrinated, in a sense, with belief systems. Now, many of the belief systems are fine and true and aligned, but many of them are not. And we're now seeing belief systems that are completely contrary to common sense. And we're seeing almost an enforcement of these belief systems on us that create enormous turmoil in the world. I want to pretend that I am a cockatoo. And if you tell me that I'm not a cockatoo, then God damn you. I want to pretend that I'm a Gila monster. And if you pretend that I'm not, or if you tell me that I can't pretend that I'm a Gila monster, God damn you. This is a very interesting time. And it is a dangerous time because it is a time that suggests that your preponderance with being told what to do and think no longer serves you. It no longer serves you. Our belief systems are profoundly effective in this time, and we want you to identify with, recognize, expose belief systems that no longer serve you or the planet at large. Okay, next slide. And we also want to bring you into the arena that you may be a participant as the architect of your own misfortune. And by that, I mean, have you had imposed on you, and these are impositions, have you had imposed on you certain belief systems that don't work for you, that do not serve the greater good, that definitely don't serve you? Have you had these belief systems imposed on you in such a fashion that you have done things completely contrary to your well-being? You think on that for a second, think on that. And all of a sudden it's, whoa, just a second. Maybe, just maybe, I've been sucked in. And that's okay, because we've all been sucked in part or parcel, to a dialogue or a belief system that's been imposed on us. But now's the time to wake up. Now's the time to reacquaint ourselves with our true selves, but also with a true dialogue with the divine, or with however you see it, with your brilliance, with your genius. And as we do that, we start to wake up out of the dream, not unlike the movie The Matrix, when Neo is being kind of woken up and shaken up and saying, hey, everybody's kind of caught in this dream, in this dialogue. Next thing. So I'm going to play for you this thing that my wife Marie-Eve Dunphy has put forward, and she is a psychologist, a psychotherapist who is actively engaged, as I am, in reintegrating you with your genius, with your brilliance, with your soul. And I'd like you to listen to this little vignette.
There are some truths so tender we barely admit them, even to ourselves. We don't speak them aloud, for letting them cross our lips renders them too real, more real than we know what to do with. To acknowledge those kinds of truths feels dangerous. We fear their release will light the solitary match that burns our carefully constructed lives to the ground. Does this mean our life has been built on a lie, or thousands of tiny white lies, minuscule ones, imperceptible to everyone but ourselves? Maybe. Hairline fractures where we chose what was easy instead of what was true. Little cracks where we decided the safe path instead of the true path. Accumulated choices layered so delicately and in just such a way that if we tread carefully enough, we can almost forget that we lose ourselves when we go on living like that. If we breathe too deep or stop bracing, perhaps we'll break through. The truth will break through. We'll be laid bare and made to face what we're pretending not to know. The reckoning will be upon us. We avoid this moment of truth at all costs, but deep inside, the soul craves to be purified in the savage medicine of this fire. There are moments in the night when we can't sleep, and in that space in between, truth visits us huddled under the blankets, and we face off sheepishly, feverishly. It's a relief to be found out, to not have to keep it in or pretend anymore. Truth whispers and bellows in the weight on our shoulders, in the overwhelm, in the longing that aches in the nectar center of our hearts. The secret yearning that makes no sense but just won't leave us alone. Truth pleads to initiate us to another way, a truer way, a beauty way, our spirit way. Truth threatens to implode our secretly strained lives and meticulously curated identities because it longs for our emancipation. It yearns to set us free into the wild selves we came here to be. And yet, that brief huddle with truth, it passes, and we go on living, if we can call it that, like it never even happened. Daylight comes and it's as though we never said it. Lips tightly closed, dimly lit match extinguished, we go on with the show. Because we're scared, we're getting older, we're too comfortable, it's not a good time, and we're unsure what it would mean to walk through that door, to set ourselves ablaze in that blessed fire. We don't feel worthy of that kind of blessing. So we don't. And yet we can't forget, no matter how hard we try, because truth doesn't forget. It's relentless like that. Truth stalks like a wild cat. It's patient like that. Truth knows that you know. Truth waits. It's not going anywhere. It'll keep calling even if you don't answer. But when you do, if you do, you'll have the auspicious fortune of living a love affair with truth. To entrust yourself to the pulse of life and to dance with it, as it. And you, my dear, you came to be danced.
That's a pretty magic expose on truth. Next slide. Imagine a world in which everyone is conscientious, caring, and responsible. Now think on this for a minute. Think on this. What if everybody you interacted with was conscientious and caring and loving and kind and responsible for their actions, not hiding behind the guise of a facade, behind the guise of a persona, but knowing full well the age-old phrase of as go we, so go I, and that we are all one, right? I bid you to embrace this, to imagine this world, because the more people who do, in fact, imagine a world where we are all in this together, collaborating, co-creating this magnificent future. We're in the transition. It's a tough one, but we're going to step out of this transition soon. Imagine the world that we are in, the birthing process of creation. It's going to be pretty magnificent. Next slide. It is the time to step up. Now I put this slide in here for mirth, but it, do no harm, but take no shit. It's time to participate in a realm of no, I know my boundaries. I am not going to act in a way that is contrary to my and everybody else's best interest. I'm going to act in alignment with the greater good. So no, I will not comply with your shtick, because I've been there, done that, and saw and was witness to what happened then. Let's be aware of that, okay? And the next slide. Now, we talk about awakening the genius, and we talk about how to engage in that place where you become more and more aware of and sentient to your brilliance. And the more quiet you become, the more that you hear. It's very important for you to get into spaces where you're very quiet, because it's in that quietude that you reacquaint yourself with who you really are. You're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are part of you, but you are not your thoughts, because when you stop thinking, you don't stop being. And I want you to remember that. Be in the quiet of nature. Be in the quiet of a bathtub, plugging your ears underwater and feel and hear the absolute quiet of just being in your body. Okay? Next slide. We talk about, and this is from Einstein, by the way. We talk about, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. We have a chimpanzee and an elephant and a fish and a seal and a dog or a coyote and a bird and a penguin. Like, our education system is broken, and we will put forward a new education system that will present itself in a way where we can awaken the genius within each and every one of us, so that when some little one awakens and steps up to the piano, their musical genius can be addressed and augmented and nourished, where they are not meant to be a mathematician, they're meant to be a musician. And with everybody's awakened genius, we bring it forward and nourish it so that they can become who they are meant to be in this purposeful position of life. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life believing that it's stupid. How many of you do that? How many of you are going, I'm no good, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this, I'm not. No. That isn't the space, that isn't the place, that isn't the case. Every one of you has a divine part in this cosmic orchestra that we call humanity. And to deny your genius is blasphemy. You are a spark of the divine. Now you just wake up to it. Let us show you how, if we might. We're not here to impose. We are here to contribute to your evolutionary process. Okay. 2 slides forward, please. We're having some technical difficulties. Now I want you to look at this slide. No, the truth slide, David. One back. One back, thanks. Now, if you can see this, you see that there's an object in the middle that is having light shed on it, and it casts a shadow that is different on 3 planes. 3 planes. One's a square, one's a circle, and one's a triangle. And each and every one of them is true. You think about this for a second, okay? You think about this. You look at it and you go, yeah, that's true. The square is true, the circle's true, and the triangle's true. Now, what has been imposed on us is there's only one way to look at things. And if you don't look at things the way the official narrative tells you to look at things, you're an idiot, and we're going to character assassinate you, and we're going to tell you that you're a giant wanker, and we're going to eliminate you. We're going to cancel you. That isn't the case, you guys. It isn't the case. You have an inherent knowing within each and every one of you that kind of does have a spidey sense. You know, you get, you understand. Trust that. Remember that. Don't hide from it. Don't be so willing to give somebody else the authority over what you know intuitively is true. Be careful. We're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to show you think with your God-given gifts. And each and every one of you has those. And what we've been doing for decades is we've been reacquainting people with these God-given gifts. Okay? 2 slides forward, please. Now, there's something in this that I want you to play with. And it's, are you prepared to suspend disbelief? In this course, in this 12-week course that we were about to embark on in the next couple of weeks, in this course, we present stuff that flies in the face of what you think you knew or what you think you know. Now, it doesn't mean it's true or not true. It just flies in the face of it. And we will let you decide. We will let you decide what conclusions you come to. But what we want to do is we want to put you in a place where your engagement, your investigation brings you to conclusions where you get a real true sense of knowing. And in that true sense of knowing, you feel comfortable with being able to declare, yes, summer is summer in June, July, and August. And yes, winter is winter in December and January and February. Yes, I am a genius. Yes, I am a participant in the emancipation of mankind. Yes, I choose to awaken myself to the brilliance of who I am. Don't deny that, please. To deny your brilliance, to deny the very spirit of what ignites you and what initiates you into your contribution to mankind is ignorance. You're ignoring your brilliance, okay? Ignoring it. All great truths begin as blasphemies. Are you prepared to suspend disbelief? Because if you are, we welcome you. Because we're going to introduce you to stuff in this modern day mystery school that will launch you into a new orbit, if I dare say. Next slide. I have been a student of Doc Hawkins for years. It's one of the things that we do. David Hawkins is an absolute brilliant, extraordinary contributor to the consciousness of mankind and to awakening the consciousness. And he's brought about what we call a map of consciousness into our realm. And we share that with you in this work that we do. Next slide. We have engaged in the teachings and engaged in the embrace of several particularly wonderful individuals who have contributed to awakening mankind. One of them is Master Dwell Cool. Now, Dwell Cool presented his teachings recently in the last 100 or so years with a woman named Alice Bailey, and they wrote 18 books together, and he's been very contributive to teaching mankind to wake up and embrace their genius. His work, his legacy, his offerings, his genius has been integrated into those on the planet who have wished to awaken. And he has done this in collaboration with Helena Blavatsky. Next slide. And Helena Blavatsky is, again, another instrument of the divine who presented in the late 1800s last century, a couple of books, Isis Unveiled and The Secret Doctrine, amongst other offerings that she presented. Then she brought forward a whole new insight into how the ancient teachings serve mankind and humanity in waking up, in integrating the great religions, all of which had a golden thread of truth underweaving them and integrating them, but all of which over time created divisiveness and separateness. This is better than this, and this is better than this, etc. And that's not the case. The ancient wisdom, the ancient teachings have all spoken to your divinity, your genius, your collaboration, your being here purposefully in order to bring about a new evolution, a new revelation, and a new elevation into a new orbit. We're here to launch ourselves into a new orbit. It sounds a bit fantastical, but nonetheless, it's very true and real. And there will be a place in time as you might partake and as you might do this work where you come to terms with that. You come to terms with that. Next slide. Dwal Kul showed up to Alice Bailey and he said, I would like to remind you that you and I had previously decided to and agreed to collaborate in the writing of these various books. And Alice, it took her a while to succumb to his definitiveness. She was skeptical at first, but then she finally said, yes, I'm in and I will do that. And they, between the two of them, they wrote 18 books together. And then in my journey, next slide, I came across, in my 20s, I came across a wonderful woman named Dorothy Gates. And she was visited by one of the masters when she was a very, very young girl. And she was called to task to awaken a student body in her purposeful life, which she lived, and she did it magnificently. We traveled all over the world with her, and we did some magnificent things. And we are here to carry on the work that she carried on, that others carried on. And it was magnificent. Next slide. Some time ago, 12 or 13 years ago, I was struck by an inspiration so strong that I couldn't deny it, to go and reach out to Douglas Baker, and I did. And I reached out to his college called Claregate College, and I was drawn to integrate and embrace his work. Now, Alice Bailey with Dwal Kul wrote 18 books. Alice wrote 7 on her own, so they wrote 25. 7 were inspired by DK. Dwal Kul wrote 18 with her. Douglas Baker wrote 100 books. He's a magnificent individual, profoundly flawed, as are we all, but brought forward some magnificent teachings. And he's sitting in this slide with a woman named Dr. Kamla Datlai. And she just so happened, unbeknownst to me, she so happened to be the grandmother of my son-in-law at the time. And when I happened to be in London many years ago, 10, 12 years ago, we met. Next slide. And this is Kamla and I meeting in London many years ago, chatting about Douglas Baker, his legacy, his offerings, his contribution to mankind, and how magnificent the journey of reacquainting people with their genius, reacquainting people with their purposefulness, reacquainting people with their soul was. And we met and we united and we embraced like two lost souls. We just looked at each other like we knew each other. It was magic. It was wonderful. And it was divine. It was divine. It was, yes, of course. We were destined to meet. And she passed just a few short years later. And she and Douglas Baker were great friends. She was a medical doctor. She was also a very advanced yogini. And Douglas Baker and her did many, many events together where they did teaching and healing and yoga and the stuff that he propagated throughout the world. And Douglas Baker and his people came to me upon his passing and asked me to carry on his legacy in one way or another. And that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do. Next slide. What we do in the Joy class is we introduce you to selections that have been passed along and studied by many of the sages throughout time. I think it's fair to say, and it's honorable to say, that much of this material has been studied by the Buddhas, the Babajis, the Lao Tzus, the Kuan Yins, the Jeshuas of the world, and you get to share in it. They're not difficult, they're paradoxical, and they're magical, but they're also yours. They are destined to be given to you so that you can use them to launch yourself into new realms and new orbits of awareness. Next slide. This slide speaks to how learning is remembering and teaching is helping one to remember. Now, one of the things that everybody over the last 3 decades, the thousands of students who have presented themselves for this journey, all of them have expressed an instant recognition that there's a familiarity to these teachings that just transcends understanding. And that's exactly right. We look upon these teachings, we embrace these teachings as, I don't think I've heard this before, but man, does it feel familiar. And it does, it is. It embraces a manner of depth and breadth and brilliance that transcends your intellect. There's a part of you that goes, I don't get it or understand it, but I do get and understand that it is right and true and full of light. What a magic place to have these teachings. Okay, next slide. What we do in Joy Class is we investigate the mysteries of the mind using ancient techniques. These techniques have been used for 10, 50, 100, 500, a million, I don't know, 10 million years, I don't know. They've been used for a long, long time because they are in perfect alignment with truth and consequently shed light on stuff. Gnosticism, Gnostic is sort of the root of knowing, knowing, knowledge. This is what we investigate. And we play in this arena of waking you up to the brilliance of who you are. New slide. Excuse me. Now, the Gnostics held that the essential nature of the human is divine. They look upon men and women as gods and goddesses who have forgotten who they are, which is what we propagate. It's from this predicament that the Gnostic aspires to be freed by gnosis. Wake up to who you are. Please, we bid you gently. We will not impose, but we bid you to wake up to the brilliance of who you are. And it is a journey that all true aspirants must take. You cannot hide from your divinity for long. You can let many, many lifetimes pass, but you cannot hide from your brilliance for long, because the consequences of doing it result in an enormous amount of suffering. So you might as well wake up, rip off the Band-Aid, and get on with things in order to facilitate your brilliance, your genius, your true self, your purposeful life. And then you can mitigate and start to take measures to stop the suffering of mankind. Next slide. So ego is the part of the mind that believes your existence is defined by separation. Your ego, your personality, thinks that your body, your package, your shtick is who and what you are, but it isn't. It's a package that your soul chose, your genius soul chose, in order to facilitate your life here on earth, to emancipate and to co-create with the illumination of mankind. Your personality is a vessel, a vehicle in which you operate. It isn't who you are. It's an instrument in which your genius expresses itself. And that's very, very important. Very important. New slide. There's a very simple recipe in all of the mystery schools. There's a very simple recipe in all of the ancient teachings. There's a very simple recipe in all of the ancient scriptures. Every single ancient wisdom teaching relies on three simple things: meditation, study, and service. Meditation, you remember earlier on, just get quiet. Get quiet and live and breathe and be in a space without thought. We'll show you how to do that. Study. Are there things to read? Are there things to partake of? Absolutely. And service. How is it that we can be of service? Well, you can be of service to so many things. Let us speak to some of them. You can be of service to your genius. You can be of service to your emotional body and recognize that your emotions are very important and very real, but they are not your boss. They are your servant. You can be of service to your mind, to your mental body. You can be of service to the people around you. You can be of service to your physical body in terms of knowing and understanding how and what to eat and drink. You can be of service to your community, to your children, to your parents, to your spouse. You can be of service to the divine by knowing and understanding how that divine conductor means to direct you in how you live your life. Being of service is a profound acknowledgement of what you're here to do and be. New slide. We are going to attend to cosmic laws, the laws of nature. Some would call this God. The law of cause and effect, the law of acceleration, the law of cycles, the law of nature, the law of seasons. There's hundreds of them, and we want to introduce you to them. We want to reacquaint you with them so that you can understand how they work. We're going to use Hermetic principles. It's very Egyptian. A lot of the teaching that we do is based in and in and around and on Mother Egypt. We are going to introduce you to esoteric science. Now, esoteric science is science that is not embraced yet by mainstream science. And mainstream science, as we all know, has some foibles and flaws and wrinkles and hiccups that have proven to be quite calamitous to mankind. And we are also going to deal with symbology and how profoundly important symbology is. Next slide. We bid you join us. We're going to begin Joy Class on Monday, September 11th. What an auspicious date. This part of our teaching goes for 12 weeks. We do a selection on week 1, and we do its explanation on week 2, and then we augment it with the profound gifts that Douglas Baker and the Claregate College, of which I am an active participant, wish to teach you about these ancient mysteries. It's 12 weeks. We participate from 7 to 9 p.m. Mountain Time, Mountain Daylight Time right now, and Mountain Standard Time, soon to be come November. We entertain to go from 7 to 9. We will do the best we can to be done in those 2 hours. The investment that we have for this is $269, investing in yourself and in your emancipatory aspirations. You can email. We will send you a registration form. You can also bring cash, and you can also donate on the website. We do this live. We do this with a live class here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We also do it via Zoom or some facsimile to Zoom that we will present over time. And we do it in order to bring you into a movement that has been waiting for thousands of years, literally 2,000 years, in order to come about by your contribution to waking up yourself and contributing to mankind's awakening as well. Next slide. My wife, Marie-Ève Bonneau-Dunphy, she is a psychologist and a psychotherapist, and she and I work together and separately in doing what we can to awaken the genius within. We offer classes in all venues. The Art of Being is a class that we offered. We do esoteric astrology. We did wisdom for a world gone mad. Next slide. We have offered the Egyptian Mystery School, the meeting of the minds. And we also have every week, we have a healing clinic where over the course of my 30 or 40 years of study in this arena, we bring about avenues of extricating yourself from those distractions, discord, disharmony that detract from your evolutionary process. The last time somebody asked me how many venues that I use, it was 19 and counting. 19 different modalities that we use in healing clinic. This is a one-on-one healing clinic that we do. And there will be more things that we will announce in the coming weeks about the courses that we will be offering. We bid you join us. Next slide. We bid you join us and ask you now if you are ready to dive in, because this is not for the faint of heart. This is not frivolous. This is not a TV program where you watch it and you forget about it. It is live, it is interactive, it is engaging, and it is soul inspiring. And it is something that we would bid you to take seriously, but also trust your intuition. We're not here to impose our will on you. We are here to embolden your will to awaken your genius, to wake up in this time. It's a very magic time, a very magic time. And we would call you to take this invitation seriously, because God bless you. Every one of you with whom this strikes a chord is welcome to partake. We welcome you. We bid you participate so that we can change the world. Next slide. This is a big one. This is a big one. God does not call the qualified. Okay. God qualifies the called. If you resonate with the thing that we just chatted about a little time ago, I just never felt like I fit in. I've always been the black sheep. I've always been always felt like the odd duck. You aren't here to fit into the old world. You're here to bring in the new world. You are here to participate actively, progressively, purposefully, with alignment in the light of changing the very planet that we live on and bringing it into an entirely new chapter. Don't take it lightly. And also be careful not to take yourself too seriously. For this is a fun adventure full of all kinds of interesting twists and turns, but it's also your divine heritage. Now, next slide. Things will not look like you think they should. Okay? There's a part of us that sort of seems to think that we can impose our expectations on how this unfolds. We can't, we won't, we shouldn't. It might, but we don't know. And it certainly hasn't for most people who have partaken of this journey. And that's because this isn't just going to school. It's way beyond going to school. This journey transcends the intellect. It transcends our thinking processes. It integrates into a realm of our beingness that is very, very, very magic. And there's a wonderful quote by Doc Hawkins, and it is, to truly know is to be, not to know about. And what we would bid you do is engage in this journey so that you can actually be in the majesty of your genius. You can be in the majesty of your soul. There's nothing more we can ask of you. And we bid you to join us. And we bid you to join us with your divinity, with your genius, with your purposeful aspiration of contributing to the emancipation of mankind. Each one of you is a divine member of a cosmic orchestra. You have your place and your part to play. Step up, step in. We bid you. Next slide. If you would, we would engage you to share this video if it should so prove to serve you. Share this. Let us share this. We want to thank all of you for your attendance, your attention, and your presence in this journey, and for listening, paying attention to this stuff. This isn't easy stuff to hear, that you're wonderful, you're brilliant, you're divine, you're here for a purpose. There are things to be done by you, done better by you than anybody else in the world. It's hard to hear that you are absolutely extraordinarily brilliant. Dare to step up and embrace that, and dare to bring it forward. We bid you. And with that, we thank you. We thank you for your presence, your attention, and your attendance. We at Retooling the World welcome this opportunity to be of service to you. And we are blessed by our capacity to be of service. Many blessings to you all, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. We greatly appreciate this. Many blessings to you all.